Your Portland Junior Symphony is made up of members of the families in your community. And this is George Alderson, 18, who attends Reed College and plans to be a park naturalist in the Forest Service. And there you have a cross-section, just a few of the 87 members who make up your Portland Junior Symphony.
Well, being in PYP was a huge influence on me, both personally and professionally. At the personal level, it was something that was my own while I was doing through high school and college, while there were so many things going on and among student activities and everything, but this one was all mine. And besides, I had friends that I got to know that were in the Junior Symphony, and we had a carpool together. It was sort of there was certain esprit de corps in working together as students in the orchestra. Professionally, in the orchestra as a student was just the foundation for a whole musical life that I had all the rest of my life, sometimes in professional capacity and other times in private life as an amateur, like making music with my friends in string quartets in our homes, and abroad, where my wife and I traveled in Czechoslovakia, later the Czech Republic, and played with musicians there, where we played chamber music by Dvorak that he'd written right there in the neighborhood. Well, my greatest mentor in PYP and in my life was Jacob Avshalomov. I learned a great deal from him, and he was a mentor for me later when I had to decide where to go in my studies, and later he introduced me to people that put me to work in the music business in Washington D.C. And so it was a mentorship that was very helpful to me. I couldn't have done all this without it. I've done a lot of music both as an amateur at home with friends, and also at different stages of my life. I played professionally because I played in the Kennedy Center Opera House Orchestra, and I was in the original orchestra when the Kennedy Center opened, and Leonard Bernstein conducted us, and then later Jimmy Conlon conducted us. So I had some good conductors in my professional life, and I had some wonderful colleagues to play with. The time we did Carmen and Burana, it wowed the audience in Portland. It had never been heard here before, and it was a beautiful big piece. And we musicians, it was just the thing that we loved, the kind of music we could throw ourselves into and play. It was kind of written. I think it was really written for a youthful crowd. The musicians, the instrumentalists, and the singers, and Mr. Jacob Avshalomov got the choruses together from several places, including Powellhurst Elementary School. They did the children's chorus role in it, and he went around and rehearsed with the choruses in their own locations, their own schools, and then got them all together for final rehearsals, and then at the public auditorium. I'd urge any young musician to know your part technically, but also listen for the fine points of phrasing. For me, the thing that I was still learning all my life was phrasing that expresses what the composer is putting in the music. And sometimes I was lucky enough to play with somebody that was leading an ensemble. This even was in the popular music field, where I played a lot. We had a wonderful accordion player. The accordion is sort of like the human voice, except you don't have to take as many breaths. An accordion can really stretch it. And so this man, when he was doing it, you could really hear the phrasing. So I was still learning from him when I was in my 70s. So listen to the phrasing. I think the thing that was so valuable about the Junior Symphony back in the days when Jacob Abshalomov was leading it, he never put down the musicians. There were no put-downs, there were no characterizations of how they were playing wrong, and anything like. It was always thinking ahead, thinking of how it could be better, and sort of modeling that. The negative stuff that I've had some bad conductors in my career, and that's the death of music. It should all be positive, and if it's not good enough, sort of find a way to model it. There's something. One of my friends in the professional side recently was describing a conductor, Yuri Temirkanov, who conducted the Baltimore Symphony, where I live, and he mentioned that Temirkanov, sometimes he would be rehearsing the orchestra, and then he'd stop at some point and then think about it for a moment, but without saying anything else, he'd go back and take it back to letter B, and he'd conduct it differently. Because he was taking the responsibility on himself rather than telling the musicians how to do it differently. So I think that's a good model. I think for me, and probably for many other teenagers, there are not a lot of things that we can really excel at in our world. There are those kids that do sports and they excel at sports and everything, but us more academic people, you could write a good term paper or something, but it doesn't really add up to anything. But doing a good bit in music in a youth orchestra like this is something you can congratulate yourself on. It really adds value to these students' life.